Right. Okay. So you talked about security, education, infrastructure, and health. How do you intend to create a sustainable process to ensure that any gains that you make whilst you're in isn't eroded by the next incoming administration, seeing as you said you only wanted to serve one term or possibly two?
Well, there's something I get out of your question.
Succession plan.
No, not succession plan. You see, don't forget, the president is one individual who comes and goes in a system that must remain. It is not the president who is going to sustain it. It is the system that is going to sustain it. So it will be better if your question was more to the electorate. Now everything is lumped on the president. Everything, including sustaining what is even beyond your own era. That is, if you forgive my language, unrealistic. No single individual sustains democracy. No single individual sustains good governance. It is the country itself, it is the system, institutions that will sustain it. And if you ask me the little that I will do to sustain it, number one, my political party is not going to be funded from inflated contracts while I'm in power. That is my little contribution. My little contribution is that if by the special grace of God Almighty, I am able to finish those 4 years, and in those 4 years, I stabilize the Naira, I bring down interest rates, I wipe out the terror organizations, minimize crime, quadruple legitimate income of Nigerian public servants. Wallahi, I'm ready to retire. If I'm able to do these things, I'm more than happy for a lifetime. So it is left for your system. Any system who is waiting for a former president to continue to sustain it is not a serious system. So all of us should begin to ask. Right now, the burden on guys like me is too much, is unrealistic. Right now, people are sitting in the comfort of their homes, enjoying social media, and waiting for you to come and market yourself as a good leader to them. Wrong. The hopeless situation that Nigeria is, people should constitute themselves into productive groups and go out and search out leaders from the councillor all the way to the president. So, my dear, actually, that question is not for a serving or a former president who's leaving that office to sustain. We must build the systems that sustain good governance.
Okay, thank you again for that. We're going to take this gentleman now.
Hello. Yeah, I'll just ask a few questions. Not many, but there's a lot of what you're saying kind of resonates with me. I won't go there because that's another issue. Hopefully we'll talk later. But what I was thinking is, how can we implement a system where all public sector workers are paid on the same day? And also, how do we manage the borders of the country and the refugees in the country? Or how will you be able to put that into practice? A lot of what everybody else has said, yes, I understand, because I've lived here for the best part of my life. Worked in public service for God knows how long, almost 20, 30 years. So, but those things are very pertinent to me because I see the way it works here, and I just wish we can do it back home, or you can do it back home, and I'm sure you can.
Well,
because right now, as you know, there's quite a lot of issues about public servants not being paid, or they're paid on different days, and then there's issues with the refugees in the north, in the south, and also there's a lot of, I think I was in Abuja recently, and you could see a lot of it happening. So how can we manage that? Okay.
I did say Nigeria needs a president that is going to be able to micromanage Nigeria. Now, people have to relax their minds, because in micromanaging you go into very minor details and small issues. Now, thank you very much for being specific on border. And the issue is technology. Technology. heavy use of technology. What I told you, that check somebody's past and what he's doing now and see what will happen in the future. If I were to open my app now, I will show you that in my present engagement, what I do now, I can see what is going on. You need a president from the comfort of his office who can see semi-border, who can see the container terminals, who can see the northeast border, and it's technology that can be done. The influx, CCTV cameras, scanners, blocking all other routes, alternative routes. You go and mount obstacles there, and simple. Whatever is happening out there, we're not creating walls. We're not building any wall, but any other obstacle for smuggling, we block it. And if you recall, I did tell you about the national ID, which can be done very rapidly and in a commercial way too, providing livelihood for those who are engaged in it, into hundreds of thousands who will be engaged. Because if you're not identified, then who are you? You've got to be a foreigner, and then you can be identified. And the strategy for this is to continue to push the criminals on the ground. Push them out of the system. You get my point? Never again should somebody just walk into a car park or drive into a car park and blow it up, because every car park in Nigeria will be secured by CCTV and scanners and so on and so forth. If you have a president who micromanages Nigeria, it's simple. A Chinese company or in South Korea that manufactures these CCTV cameras, produce me 500,000, crash the price and bring it to Nigeria. There are Nigerians right now who are more than willing to pay. Those criminals who are, look, it is claimed that you have $2 billion of Nigerian money. I'm not ready to arrest you now, please, but why don't you help us to pay for those CCTV cameras in the meantime? There are many, many different ways to solve these problems. Heavy use of technology answers your question on border, and beyond that, every road, about 40,000 kilometers of roads in Nigeria. Simple. CCTV cameras can cover it.
Can I just do a quick
And remember, that is going on concurrently with identifying each and every vehicle and deploying technology with our police and security services and so on and so forth. The moment everybody knows that they are being watched. Not watched to the extent that their privacy is being violated. But in the last crisis in Jos, where so many hundreds were killed, I assure you that will not have been done. That killing will not have been done. If there is a database in the local DPO's office that can tell you all the men between the age of 16 and 45 that live in that area. Because if you're going to investigate, you have a data set to start working with. Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? Simple. Now, the absence of a system in which people know they can be called to account is why there is so much insecurity in Nigeria. Somebody can just drive any car anywhere, just go and blow it up. Public area like a car park. What kind of a lawless society? How much does it take to do this? What organization does it take? Nothing. You as the leader brief the Inspector General of Police, who is directly in charge of public order. Give him in writing, I want this and this to be done now, and I want results from tomorrow. That's the kind of leader that you want. Regarding same-day pay to all, that I don't know much, but you see, the way the government is going to be, cabinet is going to be configured, is not like you know it today. When I spoke about education in 5 different levels, each of those levels will have a minister in its own right. And in finance, I think there can be a Minister of State Finance remuneration.
Okay, thank you very much. We have to round up now. I think you also have to commend me that I haven't asked any question today. Basically, what I want to know is about made in Nigeria products.
Yeah.
We always hear people talking about importing this in, importing that out. You know, if we continue to import, how do we expect our own brains to begin to work for us? You know, so what do you want to do about encouraging Nigerians to manufacture and to make that the order of the day? Made in Nigeria products.
Yes, I think that's right. The made in Nigeria products question, in fact, is a wonderful question that I should have mentioned now, but there's something I called, or I plan to call, pedigree, Presidential Economic Development Initiative for General Redirection of Economy and Empowerment. Pedigree. And that's for pedigree. Just to let you know, I have done so much work in the last 3 years. I didn't just wake up one day and feel I want to run for this. I'm so choked up. There's so much to say and so little time, and only one man saying it. But then, yes, we don't have a choice. And we break down everything to the economic unit. And in this economic unit, who is the major culprit? The major culprit is the end user, as the consumer. And Nigeria is like a straw basket. And the GDP of about $526 billion is like you're pouring a liquid into that basket. What happens? Because it is made of straw, it flows away. What we have to do is to tighten this basket made of straw, tighten it so well that it becomes like plastic. Made in Nigeria goods will do that. What happens now? Our national revenue is a small reflection of our GDP. The national revenue is what we expend in the name of budget. What happens? After the oil companies, the the sharing formula, construction companies, because we're a developing country, heavily reliant on infrastructure, construction companies that are foreign, take theirs. Airlines, because we rely so much on traveling and all that, take theirs. These are monies that leave the shores of Nigeria. Come to the private sector. Medical tourism, educational tourism, and then tourism itself for holidays and everything. By the time you finish those, what is retained in that basket is hardly anything left. So there is no capital that is forming in Nigeria. Now, when I said start weaving that basket stronger, that it becomes like plastic that it can retain, we have to go into specifics, which brings us back to when I said you need a president that will micromanage Nigeria. Better put, you need a presidential team that will micromanage Nigeria. Every sector, every industry in every sector come down to the level of major companies, for example. From my friend who is talking about housing. And housing is so fundamental, that's why I said the housing for security. Because if you have public servants tied to mortgages, they work differently. When you have built equity in your mortgage, you will not play with your work. Once that mentality sinks in Nigerians, work becomes life, because it's tied to your mortgage, it's tied to your livelihood, it's tied to everything. So a team that addresses everything. If you take housing, for example, upskill, mid-skill, social, affordable, and all those. You start working with someone or a team that will go and source the funding to come and lend at the 6% that we think can be lent. Work with the companies that you can get them begin to procure cement at 50% of what it is without any government interference. Free market. Work with a system in which you institutionalize 24 to 48 hour clearing. And that is why I believe so much in technology. Henceforth, while you're importing to Nigeria, you can be able to effect payment straight away, online. Print your documents in such a way that there is no, what do you call it, container terminals, and only for the default goods. From the ship straight onto the trucks, straight out. It is primitive to say that you offload from the ship and you're going to keep it for months until you finish paperwork. Eliminate the paperwork. And by eliminating, what are you doing? You are promoting commerce and you are helping the banks and you are helping the companies. Because if you take 4 to 8 weeks to clear, it means you don't have to pay interest for 1 or 2 months. That is good money saved. So from the ship to a truck, every inspection, every security agency is there to inspect as it drives out. This is what you have happening when you have a government that is ready to micromanage Nigeria. Yes, made in Nigeria goods, made in Nigeria healthcare. Because I am minded to come to the UK and beg. If I were to come to UK, for example, after engagements in the daytime, at night, we're going to rent a hotel like this and sit. Minister of Health, Education, state governors. And for example, you're a medical doctor, for example, if you were, and I know you're well established in the UK, you have at least 3 houses you can release equity from. Plead with you. You have relatives back at home. Mentor some others. Release equity out of that, what you have here. Don't send everything at once. Begin sending carefully. Gradually, you see your buildings coming up. See that we mean business. Remain in your comfort in the UK, but let us begin to have your benefit back in Nigeria. Mentor new medical doctors to start. So what happens? We begin to have made in Nigeria healthcare from the Nigerian expatriates that are abroad with local collaboration. Made in Nigeria education, based university, go and see what I've done there. Made in Nigeria tourism. Instead of going to Dubai or London or anywhere, go to Obudu. Go to somewhere like that. I've seen really, really beautiful hotels in London. That's why I said lead a quality revolution. That we add a touch of class to everything that we do. And on the side of the consumers, not to look down on ourselves. Because the moment you debunk that feeling that this is Nigeria, so it doesn't have to be good, I'm just going to do it anyhow. You know that whoever that Nigerian is going to deliver it to international standards. That is the quality revolution I'm talking about. So made in Nigeria, services first. You need to provide those services, the most basic. If you cannot, believe me, if you cannot provide basic health care, you cannot manufacture any product. If you cannot provide quality made in Nigeria teaching, you cannot provide matchstick or toothpick. You cannot. It is from those that, like I said, get that quality revolution into the trades. Right now, you'll find many households are bringing cooks from West African countries. Builders, I have seen builders tilers and tradesmen brought from Benin Republic. And why? Because there is no discipline. We seem to have accepted that because you're a Nigerian, you are sworn for that you're not going to lay that tile well. You're not going to install that door well. Now what we do is, again, connection from the top, from the leadership. No, this is not accepted. Where is the Nigerian Institute of Builders? Work with them and descend all the way down. How do you instate so that whatever you buy, you're going to work with these Nigerians and they're going to do it for you? I have seen a building. I went to colonial buildings where Sardauna was killed. The ceiling fan that was installed there is still functioning. The door handles and everything are still there, solid. The walls are straight. The building is strong. Now you see a building that was done in 2016. The walls are cracking in 2018 already. Because there is just no quality, no system of checking anything whatsoever, no standards. Now, enough of complaining. What are we going to do about it? Before made in Nigeria anything, there is going to be made in Nigeria standards. We're going to insist on standards by invoking. Right now, does Buhari or does this present government care about where the Nigerian Society of Engineers or Nigerian Institute of? No, they don't. We are going to make those institutions actual development partners. And that's why when I told you professional affairs, there's going to be a Minister of Education, Minister for Professionals, affairs, who is going to be concerned with diaspora, who is going to be concerned with all those issues in Nigeria, medical doctors, pharmacists, architects, engineers, and their respective quality and standards agencies. So, in conclusion, made in Nigeria products are a key part of, in fact, just above the layer of the fundamental building blocks I told you, that is lower interest rates, stabilized naira, better pay and the rest. Resting on top of that is made in Nigeria.
Wow. Thank you very, very much, sir. It's been an honor to have you here. I hope you've all gotten something out of speaker today. Let's just give him a wonderful round of applause just to say thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much.